As a wrap up to our series about fascia and the nervous system, we're going to talk about downregulation today. Hi, I'm Dr. Jim Hoven from Ramos Law and your host for Health Matters. It's all about proper movement, and one way to move is to downregulate tight and angry muscles. So stick around, I'm going to show you how to do it, or why your provider is doing it the way they're doing it, coming up next. In our series so far to this point, we've talked about the fascial system and how it makes us move, how it ties every other system of our body together when it comes to connection to the brain and movement. We've also talked about upregulation. We've talked about interoceptors. Now it's time to talk about downregulation. And what is downregulation? Essentially, it's this. Let's pretend that I can't turn my head to the right. We talked about last week how if we couldn't turn our head to the right, we might upregulate the muscles that would assist us going to the right. This week, we're going to take the opposite view of how to get the same motion done. Remember, if we wanted to take our head to the right, if we were thinking about this, and all your providers think this way, by the way, but if we want to take our head to the right, we know that if it weren't going as far as we wanted, there are certain tissues or areas, regions of the body that are preventing that because the fascial system is like a tight-knit kind of sweater. So if that sweater is pulling, when I go this way, if that sweater is pulling back here, it's going to prevent me from moving that direction. So while we tried to upregulate last week to get that done, maybe that worked and maybe it didn't. But if we also say, well, what could be resisting our movement? That's where we start applying downregulation. And in downregulation, it's really, really simple once we find the right area to perform the treatment on. So if your provider is looking at you, and let's just say that you're turning your head, you can't go this direction, and you notice that they're starting to put a deeper pressure, somewhere around a 4 to 6 maybe, on this part of your body, that's why they're doing that. It's to create a down regulation where the brain goes, okay, I need to let go of that muscle. That muscle needs to relax. And not just the muscle, but the tissue. Remember, the fascial system is the connector of all this. All of that now it allows it to slide and to move. So it's a pressure that's about a 4 to 6 on a gauge of 10, or scale of 10, and holding that for somewhere about 30 seconds. And so if you notice that your providers are pushing slowly, it'd be kind of like a slow, deep massage, but not too deep. We don't want it so deep that the muscle and the nerve gets excited and then the fascial system tightens up. So instead, it's that 4 to 6 pressure range held for a period of about 30 seconds throughout all those tissues that would turn the head that way. Now again, this works if we wanted to go backwards, sideways, any motion. Once the provider sees where the limitation is, then all he or she has to pay attention to is, okay, what part of the fascial system is resisting that motion? Apply the concept, and then you will find the result of that moving. Now you can do this yourself too. Things like foam rollers, lacrosse balls, all of that are great ways to not only help you with the global motion, but also if you notice that something is really tight, if it feels in spasm and that kind of thing, you can use this same thing on yourself. If you notice that you had a lot of sensitivity around your elbow or pain around your elbow, you can use a combination of things. Remember, we talked about on our first video, the interoception. You could do that feather stroke over the elbow, see if that reduces the pain. And if so, then you could say, man, that's really tight right here. Take something, it could be even like a credit card or a dull spoon, and you can just press, or you could use your hands, and just a feeling that's about a 4 to 6 on your pressure. Do that for somewhere for about 30 seconds. And I would say you can maybe move toward the heart. That's not critical, but just kind of do a deep, slow pressure and watch to see what happens. Watch, does the function work better? So that's connecting the dots between the fascial system, the interoceptors, the Pacinian corpuscles, and by the way, the nerve endings with these for the downregulation called RUFFINI nerve endings, RUFFINI nerve endings. So that's putting this whole thing together so that now when you're talking to your providers and they're doing these different things, now even if they don't know how it's working, you'll know how it's working. Of course, if you have any questions on this, you can always reach out to me, Jim Hoven, at jim@ramoslaw.com, and I'd be happy to help in any way I can. So until next time, remember, your health matters.